Hey everyone, welcome to Pepito Live Costa Rica. Welcome to the show, everyone. Costa Rica is a treasure of beauty and wonders. This is why it is the prime destination for a lot of people who want to come here and visit, but also a lot of people who also want to come here and live. And a lot of people who are passionate about photography find a paradise. It's an absolute treasure chest and paradise here in Costa Rica. Whether we are talking about wildlife, nature, people, we have it all. But how to capture the perfect shot is a different story and could be challenging at times. So today we have invited an expert who will share with us some of his tricks and also his tips. Also, during the course of the show today, we will reveal the winners of the Costa Rica Amateur Photo Contest. We've been doing this via Facebook and different Facebook pages for the last 3 weeks now, and we have received just about 50 submissions from all around the world. So today, during the show, we will reveal, as we are going through the show, all of the winners from this contest. So stay tuned because we're going to be revealing during the show right till we get to the end of the show for the top prize. So please, you don't want to miss this, okay? And also, amigos, before we do that, let me remind you about YouTube. So on YouTube, you could subscribe, comment, share, okay? And make sure you don't miss any of our shows or go back to the YouTube link so you could actually see more details regarding the show. So for example, all of the photo tips that Sean Davis will share with us today are all going to be in the show description on YouTube. So you could go back and revise them if you wish. Okay? So amigos, let's dive right into today's subject. And please allow me to introduce our guest. Sean Davis is an American photographer, professional, living now in Tamarindo, Costa Rica. His photographs have appeared around the world and have been published in magazines such as The Times, Rolling Stone, Healthy Living, the New York Times, and even more. Sean is an experience in a wide variety. He's experienced in a wide variety of types of photography, including food, products, and interiors. So welcome to the show, Sean Davis.
Thanks, Pepito. Thanks for the great introduction.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
We are honored to have you, and thank you for participating and coming in today and sharing some of your tips and tricks with people, and also for picking the ultimate winner in the end of the show.
Thanks. The submissions were great. It was a pleasure.
Great. Okay, so Sean, let's dive right into it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to be showing at the bottom of the screen, okay, the different tips or tricks that you have, and then we could elaborate on them. And through some of those tips and tricks, we're actually going to be doing some reveals. Let's have a look at the tip number 1. Get closer.
Get closer is, wow. It actually comes from war photographers of all things. And it, I think the quote is, if your photos aren't good enough, get closer. Which is sort of ironic for a war photographer to say because of the obvious danger involved. But there's a definite amount of truth in it. There's people that sit in the restaurant and they don't get up from their seat and they take a photo there and then they wonder why it isn't so good, when it's just infinitely better to engage with your subject and get closer and get into their world and break through the barrier. And it can't really be done with long lenses. I mean, you can think that it would do the same using a really long telephoto lens to get closer to the subject, but it isn't really necessarily the case. There's something about the proximity of people where there's an energy that works that makes a better photo.
Mm-hmm. Before we we move forward, I just want to remind people that anybody looking via Facebook or YouTube, via the chat section, can actually make some comments, can actually ask some questions, and we will actually highlight some of those. Like right now, we have like welcome to you both from Jean Chateauvert. Ça fait plaisir de vous voir, Monsieur Chateauvert. Nice to see you, Jean. And by all means, don't be shy with your questions and comments. I have like, in regards to this point number one, I have a question, Noah. Like, for example, get closer. If,
Right.
for example, if you're like taking a picture of another person, somebody who's in the setup in their natural environment, how do you consider that?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of different tactics to doing it, especially with people that don't want to be photographed, which is a lot of people. When you're taking vacation photos or travel photos, a lot of people just don't want to be shot. And what you can do as a tactic is be interested in what they're doing before you even pick up the camera. And like, for example, if they're selling fruit, you know, look at their fruit and be like, wow, it's amazing. It's beautiful fruit. You can grab it and take a photo of it, and you just establish some kind of connection with them. And then after that's broken through, then if you aim the camera, you know, there's already an intimacy there that makes a better photo. And it actually, beyond that, it makes your travels better. I mean, because you're forced to engage, and you have an excuse to engage with people and cultures and things that, you know, you wouldn't normally have an excuse for. You know, you need to take a photo, you need to get closer, go inside of a house, in an igloo, you know, in a shack in Burma with you know, a hill tribe. It can improve the quality of your travel to get closer and to find ways to get closer. So beyond making great photos, it's just a good thing to do, and it's a good excuse to pick up a camera.
Absolutely. Here's a picture. Now, all the pictures we are showing now are all of your pictures, actually, and most of them come from your website. Do you have a comment to make, as a matter of fact, in terms of getting closer? Do you have any comments to make on this picture right here?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was in a Hindu temple in Burma, and spent a couple hours with these people, making them comfortable. At first, they were very stiff around the camera, and my wife and I were both shooting. So it was, you know, a lot of photography happening in this very personal cultural event. And after about an hour, they just didn't care anymore. And then you're just a fly on the wall, and they're comfortable with you, and they trust you in a way because you're obviously interested in what they're doing, you know, beyond being just a tourist. There's a divide where you can, you know, stand back behind a wall of a camera and take a photo and grab an image of something. And then there's another thing where you go through the wall and you become part of it. And you can always tell those photos. They always have a different feel to them. And that's similar. You know, that temple, we loved them. We obviously really enjoyed their company, and they enjoyed us, and we took great photos.
And there's another picture I'm going to show right now, another photo I'm going to show right now. This one really stands out on your website. I've been really intrigued by it. Please, if you want to explain this, by all means. This is very unique.
Well, yeah, Grandpa, you know, just needed to be put in his bag. No, actually, it was a life-size rubber monk. And a bunch of them rubber monks. These aren't real, for sale in a shop that sold rubber monks in Bangkok. And so, I mean, I couldn't believe it when I saw it, and you know, so I took the photo. I wish, you know, I'm glad it's not a real monk. It would be interesting, but you know, it's just a weirdness factor that I really liked, and it's fun to capture in that photo.
Wow, amazing. Okay, so Sean, let's go to spend time with your subject, which is this point number 2 today.
Yeah, it's an extension of point number 1. I mean, for example, I like to work on little projects on vacation. One of them recently was in Bangkok, and heard there was a family that was living in an airplane. And so went and found it. I mean, you know, who lives in an airplane? So got there, and it's a family that sort of charges admission, and they live in an airplane fuselage in an airplane junkyard in the middle of Bangkok. and they rent out the airplanes to people taking selfies. So almost everybody, it's full of tourists. They come and they take selfies, and it's sort of has an exploitative thing to it. But my wife and I spent the day with them, and then went back the next day, and knew all their names, and ate lunch with them, and took photos of one of the kids of the family that they're really, really interesting. So along the same vein of getting to know your subject, and getting closer to them, spending time with them makes them break down the wall. And especially now with social media, everyone has a wall up and a perception of self that, there's a certain way that everyone wants to see themselves and wants to be seen. And it's very rigid. And when you spend time with people, if you take photos of your friends, you see it the same way. They just relax and you can see them. You get the essence of the person. And that's it. That's the trick to it.
Mm-hmm. And you were also, I think, saying earlier that if you spend time, of course, with your subject or people, it also gives you an advantage in terms of studying the light from a technical standpoint also, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for example, the airplane junkyard, I knew the first day the photo that I wanted to take, and I couldn't take it. It was the wrong time, the wrong light. I didn't have cooperation with the subject. So yeah, you get to study it and you get to refine it. And refining your vision as a photographer and making it better requires time. And if you can take that amount of time to refine it and etch it away and make it more yours, then you get better photos. So,
mm-hmm. What about your? Yes, absolutely. Now let's go to point number 3.
Experiment with different angles.
Experiment with different angles. Yeah, I have this picture here, sort of like has an angle. It's one of yours, or sort of like a different way of seeing the whole perspective on things, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's also in Burma. That different angle was me hanging out of a moving train, just trying to wait for that girl to give me the time of day. And but yeah, different angles. I mean, it's a free way to change your photo. For example, if you look at the world at the way that a child looks at it, it's much lower, and you look up at people. And if you look at like magazine photos of hero shots, they're usually very low looking up, and they make the person look grand like a superhero. Or you can look down at people, and it just changes the perspective. So, I mean, it's a free way. It doesn't cost anything or really take any time to just make the photos yours and find a different voice and a different way to express what it is that you're seeing. And you just camera up and down. And with the cameras now, you can usually look on the back screen and move it. And you can hold it over your head and get, a poor man's drone angle. But it's just a way to make it better, different.
Wow.
And when you have a bunch of different angles, then you can go back and look at the photo and see which one is the best. And maybe the one that's high is the best and low is the best. And the more photos you take and the more differences there are, it makes your choices better and it makes you shoot better because you know what you like.
Mm-hmm.
Hope that makes sense.
Very good advice. No, absolutely. Here's a comment from Alain. I need new photos of myself for my real estate marketing, including a billboard. Please contact me, okay? And actually, before we get to the reveal of the first point, you do actually real estate. Here's a couple of examples of some what I call real estate photography here. It's just an amazing picture of this family overlooking the swimming pool. I guess, is that in Papagayo Bay here in Costa Rica? Or?
No, that's in Langosta. It's really close to here. Yeah. Okay. And that's the real estate agent and his family. And, I know those guys, and I thought it would be a useful shot, something beyond the regular real estate shot to anchor and make somebody imagine themselves in that pool, which is an amazing pool with an amazing view. So there it is.
I think it's a great real estate photo, but with a really, really good artistic twist to it. And here's another one here. This more like interior. We have an exterior scene when we have an interior scene. Just wants you to want to come to Costa Rica.
Yeah, that's Bart's house. That place is special, and it was impossible to photograph because I couldn't use lighting. But I wanted it to look soft and really inviting, and yeah, that's a tricky shot. It took me a month to shoot that place because I kept failing and going back and doing it again and again and again and again.
Wow, amazing. And so you do like real estate, and also you do a lot of food photography.
Yeah, I mean, I love food photography. I was a chef and I like to cook, and yeah, there's some for the shrimp hole. And food is the hardest thing to shoot. It's impossible. It's fiendish. Making something look appetizing is, wow. I don't know. It makes me pull my hair out shooting food. I'm always a little bit of a hostile food photographer because finding perfection in food it's a moving target.
So I guess with food, we're looking for colors, freshness.
Yeah, I mean, freshness. If you like think of a steak and a potato, for example, I mean, which is something wonderful. I mean, it's just a bunch of brown mass. I mean, to make that brown stuff look appetizing is really funny. It's hard. And it's, thing with food is you have a limited amount of time until it starts to dry out and get weird and wilt. And so it all has to happen very quickly. Food it's the hardest.
Absolutely. So let's have a look at another one of your pictures. This is like aerial.
Yeah, the whale tail.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whale tail. That was a stroke of luck. I was doing an environmental mission mapping the Sierpe Valley I think it was for UNESCO in an airplane. So my camera is actually outside of the plane on a wing, and I built this thing to rig it up to a laptop. And on the way back from Sierpe, the whale tail was perfect. It was here. And this is actually 3 shots flying over it, timed, and then composited. It's an impossible photo, and it was luck and luck and luck. And like anything in photography, the more you do it, you kind of make your own luck. Showing up is half the battle. So
absolutely. Congratulations. Listen,
Thanks.
Before we move to the point number 4, we're going to go to actually our first reveal, just to sort of like set up people within the context of the amateur photography contest that we had. So we had people actually submit photos for the last 2-3 weeks now. All of the photos have been submitted in the file on Facebook and Pepito Live Costa Rica Facebook page. And people ever since, for the last week or so, have been going and liking, therefore voting for their favorite picture or pictures. So the way we determine the first 3 prizes is actually by the number of likes. It's a very democratic process. And so the first winner that we have, that is the person, so we're going to go with the person who has received the top 3 winners with the 3 most likes are going to be receiving a prize. So the one that has received the 3rd less votes from the top 3 winners, if I could say it that way in English, okay, is Daniel Boudarte. And what we're going to do is we're going to show the picture. Congratulations, félicitations à Daniel Boudarte, qui remporte le prix pour la 3e place ayant reçu le plus de j'aime. So she's getting the prize for receiving the 3 most likes, the 3rd position on the Facebook. And here's the picture from Daniel.
Great photo.
Yeah, very, very lovely picture. And maybe if we could take the banner out, maybe then we could see it. Here's the picture. Danielle has received like over 52 votes on this picture. Just quite an amazing photography. I believe this was shot at Rio Tempisque. Yes, Rio Tempisque here, close to Philadelphia in Guanacaste. So, félicitations, Daniel Boudarte, pour cette soumission. So Danielle will actually be receiving the 3rd place, and so she will be receiving a gift certificate for a tour with Costa of the value of $75. And then so we could bring her on the tour, and she could take whatever more pictures she wants that day. So félicitations, Danielle. Congratulations, Danielle.
Great photo.
Absolutely. Now, let's go to point number 4. Le point numéro 4, imagine the photo in your mind.
Yeah, this is incredibly important. I mean, there's two kinds of photography. One is where you take pictures and you go out and you grab them from the world like you're catching fireflies. And then the other one is making them, where you have an idea, even if you're, just walk up and there's someone in a market, a butcher in a market, for example, you just imagine the photo in your mind before you even pick up the camera. Then you have something to strive towards and to push for. And most of the time you can't get it, which is okay, because I mean, failure is the most important part of photography. I should have put that as number one, fail well, but imagine the photo in your mind is a great way to fail really consistently. And what it does is when you can't get it to come out like it is in your mind, you learn what is wrong. You learn if it's a lighting problem, or if it's a composition problem, or if the subject doesn't want to smile at you, or if the sunset's too strong in the background. And I mean, not being able to bring an idea to fruition is the way to learn photography and get really good at it quickly. So if you imagine your shot and you fail, you don't fail. I mean, you get something out of it, and that you learn how to next time get it closer and closer and closer. And if you succeed, then you've really done something. You've really created something, and you've become a photographer as opposed to a picture taker, which is, it's hugely important.
Wow. Great advice. Thank you very much. Let's go to now point number 5. Shoot with a single prime lens.
Yeah, this is important. New photographers, especially now that cameras are digital, it's overwhelming. There's so many menus and submenus and zooms and white balances and picture modes and things. And it used to be easier when it was film, because it was just film, f-stop, shutter speed. And it still is just that. A camera is like driving a car. You steer, you have the brakes and the accelerator. With a camera, you have your f-stop, your shutter speed, and your film and your sensitivity. And the point of using a single prime lens is to eliminate, one, a whole lot of that difficulty of zooming and all that. And two, prime lenses are better. The best lens you can possibly buy for your camera is also the cheapest. Like, what do you have there? A Canon or Nikon? Yeah, okay, a Nikon D something. They're basically all the same. But Nikon makes a 50 millimeter 1.8 lens for that camera that is about $100. And it's plastic, and it is fantastically sharp, and it gives you shallow depth of field, and it's good for food and people and everything. And if you just shoot with that lens, or a 50 or a 35 for a year, you will get better. You'll take great pictures.
I will take that.
It's actually a really classic way of learning photography. If you taking away things, it actually helps, if you can believe that or not. But
keeping it simple in a way.
Yeah, keeping it simple, and it raises the quality of your photos. Most people, for travel and for vacation, they'll buy like a 15 millimeter to 300 zoom lens that goes like this and back and forth, and they wonder why it doesn't produce something amazing. And it doesn't, because it's a compromise. It's too much compromise between wide angle and telephoto and speed and this and that, and it just doesn't work. But that $100 lens, if you do it for a year, it'll pay huge dividends, huge, immense.
And it's also like amazing. I know the people from the Guanacaste photography club, they say that they actually they encourage even people to take like pictures with their cell phone now, which has times an amazing quality also.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, cell phone's great. And a cell phone's great for visualizing photos. And, they say the best camera is the one that you have with you. And that's the absolute truth. I mean, if you carry a cell phone with you, that's the best camera in the world.
Cool.
And all the greatest photos now are being taken mostly with cell phones because of just the quantity of photography happening. It's the most popular pastime hobby in the world, I think.
Wow.
And cell phones have democratized it. It's great.
Absolutely. And, for people who want, I feel that photography or photos is the best, besides the memories you have in your heart, is probably the best way that you could actually immortalize something, that you've seen along your trips and stuff. And it's something that you've actually lived as opposed to buying t-shirts and hats and stuff like that, which is very materialistic. A picture is always your own experience and your own vision on things. It's really cool.
Very true.
Okay, now let's go to point number 6. So learn to love magic hour.
Learn to love magic hour. It's learning to read light is it's one of the hardest things about photography because everyone runs into the same wall. The camera doesn't make the photo the way that you see it. Your vision and the camera are so far apart, and it takes many, many years to figure out exactly what light works with what, but pretty much universally, magic hour makes stuff look good. Now, what I mean by magic hour is before sunset, and sometimes you can throw in after sunset. And what happens is the sun's lower in the sky, and it gives things texture. And if it's on your subject, it lights them up in a beautiful way. And it's a warm light. It's beautiful. If you're doing drone photos, even the same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter. That time of day gives everything more texture because the sun's raking across things, making shadows. And so magic hour is it's a trick that cinematographers use, and they use it, in big budget productions. And it's something that you can take yourself, and it's free. So, for example, if you're going to go to the beach and take photos of, your loved ones, your kids, you go at the end of the day, and even if they're backlit, you can get this wonderful lens flare from magic hour. If they're front lit, they'll look amazing. It just smooths out the lines, and it makes things beautiful. Magic hour is magic.
Here's one of your pictures where I think the clarity and the light and the color is pretty fantastic. Maybe this is what you're referring to, this photo right here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it helps that she was a pro model and I had an assistant with a giant reflector. But yeah, this was magic hour. This was a shoot done between 4 and 6, and this shot was probably very much towards the end of that. And it worked well, and it was a great location, great model, good light. But yeah, that's magic hour for sure. And you can see that it's flattering because of the way that it just is soft light, kind of just all over. It softens out everything. It gives her a little bit of a definition in her chin. It's just beautiful. It makes people beautiful. It makes landscapes beautiful. It's the best.
It's absolutely a gorgeous picture. So now we've covered point number 6. So now let's go to the next winner from our Facebook category. The next person who's received the most vote is Claudine Privé, who gets our second prize today. Claudine has submitted this picture of this beautiful, merveilleux toucan photographié ici au Costa Rica. Congratulations, Claudine Privé. Félicitations à Claudine for this submission. Really amazing picture. Truly represents the beauty and the nature of this marvelous country. Félicitations à Claudine. Claudine will receive also a tour voucher for the value of $100 with Costour, un certificat cadeau de $100 avec Costour. Alors, congratulations, félicitations à Claudine Privé. So very nice, yes. So let's carry on with point number 7, access, and access.
Yeah, this should have been point number 1 because it's so important. And here's what it means: access. If you see, for example, the National Geographic photos of tribes, where a photographer is embedded for a month and takes these incredibly personal photos of tribes, that's access. If you look at Emmett Gowan, is an American photographer who photographed his family with a black and white large format camera, and those photos are spectacular. They're amazing, and they're amazing because he had access to it. If you work in a machine shop, for example, take your camera to work every day. and shoot machine shop life. You have access to something very special and you take it for granted, and you can make a photo project, a series of photos on, what it's like to work in a machine shop, someone in front of the machine or drinking coffee or tired or whatever. But your access to these places is your secret weapon. It makes good photos. So if it's your family, if it's work, if it's a friend you have in Costa Rica, whatever it is, if you have to get access to make it work, access is the key. It makes good photos.
Great. Thank you for that very practical tip. Now let's go to point number 8. No, I love this one. Okay. Like, know which of your photos sucks.
Yeah, it's hard. This might be the hardest one, but it's also in some ways hugely important. We all take bad photos. I take terrible photos sometimes. I took some bad photos yesterday, and rather than put them up on social media and put them everywhere, it's really important to realize which of your photos don't work. Mm-hmm. And to do that, what it does is once you figure it out, once you figure out which of your photos suck, you can figure out why they suck and how you make them better. And they suck because they either are bad photos universally, and there are some of those, or they didn't meet your expectations of what you wanted from your subject or the scene. Now, how you figure it out is like, say you're shooting your friend doing yoga, right, in a yoga rancho. And you take all these photos and you pick your best one, and then pick that best one and then just look at other photos of yoga and see how they are compared to yours. And now, I'm not saying that you should really compare it, and that, photography is it's in the eye of the beholder, but it's good to measure yourself against everything else. And then it makes you improve. It makes you work harder and take better photos. So, yeah, I mean, once you know which of your photos are bad, you also know which ones are good. And when you know which ones are good, you can improve on that, and you can make a feedback loop of improvement in your work that just goes faster and faster. And now with the digital camera, I mean, that feedback loop is super quick. I started with film, where you take a photo and, maybe a few days later you go in the darkroom, you develop it, and you realize that you suck or you're great. I mean, but now you can have that loop happen quickly. And if you know which of your photos suck, then you can learn which ones suck in the back of the camera as you're shooting. And then you can push and make them better.
And how do you like deal with something like, for example, when you have a picture that you think sucks, and people around you think it's just great? For example, if you want to show that to your friends or put it on social media, how do you struggle with that? How do you?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's tough, because your family is always going to like your photos. The people that are close to you will like your photos, especially if it's of them. I mean, a lot of times, and Instagram's no help, social media is no help, because all those photos look the same. I mean, the sameness of all of it is painful. But what do you do? I don't know. I mean, you just have to push your own standards to the point where it's impossible. You have to always be becoming something, always be evolving, or else just put the camera down. I mean, you have to just push and push and push.
Great tip. There was a comment just earlier from, I don't know, Telecino, if we could show it again. Maybe you want to make a little comment on it. Jason Denford says, all fun and games, but remember, it's not the camera that makes the photographer.
No, he's totally right. I mean, you can do it with an iPhone. I still use old film cameras sometimes that are super limiting. The camera doesn't make the photographer, not at all. A camera's just a tool, like a blender. I mean, a blender doesn't make a smoothie. You could put dirt and rocks and stuff in a blender, and it doesn't make, in a Vitamix that's $500, it doesn't make you a good smoothie. You have to work with what you have. And I think sometimes it's better to have worse equipment. For example, I worked with a guy years ago. His name was David Wiltsey, and he shot magazine covers with a plastic disposable camera. And
really?
He would rig them up to lighting, and it was called a Diana camera, and it had a terrible plastic lens, and it was just awful. but he made it beautiful in a way that was completely his. And it was so unique that, major magazines would hire him to go and shoot stuff with this ridiculous plastic camera.
Wow.
And so, yeah, the camera doesn't matter. Bad stuff can be good.
So true. Okay, let's go to point number 9. And I want to remind people, we've seen some comments on screen. By all means, people watching, if you have any questions via the comment section on YouTube, or also via the comment section, the chat section on Facebook, please send us your question, make your comments, and we're going to try to show them on screen. We want to make this as participative as possible. So point number 9, amigo, learn how to ask the right questions.
Yeah, it's a strange point, but it was taught to me by a mentor that taught me studio photography. I was a product photographer, and he said the questions are hard, the answers are easy. And I didn't get it at the time, but he was absolutely right. And what it means is, for example, if you're shooting your wife in front of the sunset, you either get the sunset or the subject. She's black, the sunset's bright, or the sky is pure white, and she's black. And the question is, it's a difficult question to ask, but the question is one of, contrast. Like, how do I lower the contrast in a photo, or how do I add light to a subject, or any number of questions. And once you get the question, the answer is simple. Like, use a flash, use a reflector, don't shoot her in front of a sunset. There's a million things like that. But the questions are hard. And now with the internet, you can be an autodidact and you can teach yourself photography really quickly. Why is my photo dark? Why is the runner in my photo blurry? Not just this is a blurry photo, but why is it blurry? Is it a motion blur? Yes, you need a different ISO, you need a different shutter speed to capture motion. So it's one of those things that if you learn how to ask a concise question of yourself, of your photo, why is this such a way? Then the answer is simple, because you can just type it into Google or ask someone, and then it becomes very easy. So
that's one of the questions I had was, how is like social media and YouTube and some of those forums where people also give some tips and stuff, and there's a lot of valuable information and a lot of value in doing something like that to get some little tricks, I guess, For sure. There's good communities of people taking photos. There's photo contests, which are great. And getting your photos out in front of people is super useful. Anyone that's gone to art school knows the only useful part of anything in an art education is the critique. Where you put your thing up and you've done this, whatever it is, a painting, a sculpture, a photo, and people critique it. And then you learn how to defend your vision, or you learn how to fix it. So we have a question on screen that comes from Yves Laverdière. He says, the question in French is, que préfère Sean, la photo instantanée ou la photo étudiée et préparée? So therefore the question is, what do you prefer, like taking or doing a photo that's spontaneous, or something that's really studied and set up type of thing?
Well, I make a living doing very prepared photography, simply because I'm not terribly good at the instant stuff. Now there is a whole school of photography called street photography, especially, where it's very fast and very, very interesting, which captures the Henri Bresson called it the decisive moment, and there's a definite art in that, and it's an incredible thing. But if you look at, and I encourage anyone to look at Henri Cartier-Bresson's photos, because, especially if they're French, they're incredible. They're moments in time that are captured with, this grace of someone that really understands humanity and composition and light and all of that. So I prefer slow photography, But if I was good at the faster photography, I might prefer that.
Cool. Great. Okay, so that was point number 9. So now let's go actually to our next Facebook winner. Our next Facebook winner, actually, here is the picture. It is a picture that was submitted by Eric McAnini. Actually, a beautiful macaw bird here in Costa Rica. Une belle photo qui nous a été soumise par Eric McAnini, who is our first place actually winner on Facebook. Alors, notre gagnant de la première place sur Facebook, Eric McAnini. Congratulations, felicidades et félicitations à Eric pour cette merveilleuse soumission. Great photo taken here in Costa Rica. Gracias y felicidades, Eric.
Nice photo.
Absolutely. Eric will get also a gift certificate of the value of $125 from Costur on any of the tour. And we hope to see him soon on a photo sprint here in Guanacaste. Absolutely. Let's move now to point number 10. Sean, take more photos.
Take more photos. Take more photos.
And have fun.
More photos. Take more photos. Photos are free now. I mean, back in the days of film, it was $1, $1, $1, $1, and you know it hurt. But if the more photos you take of something, so I mean, the ideal process is this: you see something. Let's say you're in a market in Costa Rica in the Central Valley. You know, that indoor market. It's an amazing place to take photos. So I highly, highly recommend it. And there's a fruit seller and there's a beam of light coming from the skylight, and you walk up and you take one photo. I mean, who knows? You may have gotten it, you may not have, but if you take more, for one, it doesn't cost anything, but two, the more pictures you take, the better the best one is. And it's just the math of it. And when you pick out that really good picture out of 50 of this person selling fruit in Central Market, then not only do you get a photo that's the result of a refinement and a process, but you also get to know what it was that made that photo good because you were there. I mean, you made the other 50. And with that knowledge, the next time you take a better photo, and the time after that, it's better and better. And that's how you develop a style. If you went to a shoe store and you have 500 pairs of shoes and you choose 2, and the next shoe store has 500 pairs of shoes and you choose 2, you develop a style very much based upon what it is that you choose. And it's super important, and it doesn't cost anything, and it's the best way to take better photos. It's just the law of averages. I take thousands and hope for 10.
Carrie Enfield says, I take thousands and hope for 10. Yeah, that's great. I'm the same. I love taking pictures too. I mean, you're totally right. And I because we're a tour operator, we go on tours, and sure. Even after being 5 years in Costa Rica and having been to the same destination maybe 300 times, I'm still taking photos, and I'm still waiting for that shot that will be different someday, or get a different angle or a different light or stuff.
Me too. We all are. I mean,
absolutely,
it's half the fun.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, so amigo, that pretty much covers the 10 points we had, but the show is not done. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce our friend from the Guanacaste Photography Club. Actually, we've teamed up with these people to promote the photo contest. The Guanacaste Photography Club is actually based on Facebook. It's for amateurs, including cell phones and also regular cameras, and also some professional photographers also who live here or are on vacation in the area in Costa Rica and even on beyond. So let me allow to bring to the screen one of the leaders of this group, Fred Lipsky. Hi, Fred. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Fred, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, and congratulations, because I understand that this photography club is a pretty new venture here, actually in Costa Rica. It's probably the only photography club that we know of for the time being, right?
Right. The Guanacaste Photography Club was started on Facebook. It still is on Facebook, where he started back in June of last year. And I think right now we're just over 400 members. And it's growing.
Congratulations.
And it's growing. Yeah. Of course, what better place to photograph than your own home country of Costa Rica?
Absolutely. And Fred, you live in an area. You live around Arenal. You're live from Arenal area right now, right?
Yes, Nuevo Arenal to be exact. So we have the area of the volcano is in view and the lake. So we do get a lot of rain. Just as soon as this show started, it started to pour. So I had to relocate.
You had to relocate. Before amigos, is there something more you want to say about the club, Fred?
The club, like I said, started last year. It's growing pretty rapidly. It's for amateurs, for professionals, for people who never really thought they would belong to a photography club. Mm-hmm. If the only camera they have is their cell phone, they're more than welcome. If they want to come out, we do trips. Last year we did trips to Caño Negro. We did some trips over towards the volcano, for some bird and other wildlife photos and some landscape photography, macro photography. It's incredible what you can shoot here in Costa Rica. It's a photographer's paradise for sure.
Congratulations, and thank you for promoting the show and also promoting the contest actually on your Facebook page also. And I've been really impressed even by some of the quality of the photos that people are posting on your Facebook page. It's really becoming interactive, and I think we need to build up on that.
Right. Yeah. No, we definitely have all sorts of photographers. Like I said, from people who never consider themselves a photographer, using their phone. Like you said, best camera is the one you have in your pocket. Your cell phone. Everyone has a cell phone nowadays, even little kids, and they're taking photos, and, their photos are sometimes incredible, versus, the multi-$1,000 equipment that, a lot of the photographers have nowadays.
Yes, absolutely. Fred, before we proceed, we have actually somebody who's a great amateur photographer who is actually going to be joining us right live from London. No, not London, but from England. Okay, so welcome to the show, because this person actually, Sean, has a question live for you. So welcome to Karen Kurnov to the show. Welcome, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Hello there. Hi, guys.
Hey, is that a Jersey accent?
She is from England.
It's like Jersey.
No.
Yeah.
It's the real accent.
Yes.
It's the way you say it. Okay.
Karen Kurnov has visited Costa Rica several times, has done a lot of photography here, and she's happy to watch the show. I believe Karen has a question for you, Sean.
Oh, good. Cool.
Yeah. Basically, we live in England. Light is very bad. Mm-hmm. And I need help. I need your advice on getting fast-moving subjects, maybe birds, in low light.
Oh, okay. There's a good question.
Sorry.
Birds in low
This
light.
is my challenge.
Here, when you go to shoot birds, where do you go? Do you go out to a park or something like that?
Anywhere, usually a park and a nature reserve.
But you go out very deliberately to shoot birds, right? Are you a birder?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Here's what you do, and here's it's a strange trick, but it works. The trouble with birding is it requires a really good bird photos require a 600 millimeter f4 lens. It's a $10,000 lens, and that's how good bird photographers take great bird photos, with this $10,000 lens. Now, I'm not saying buy that lens, but what you can do, and what anyone in the US can do if you live actually anywhere in the US, and I'm sure England's the same, is you can rent them. So you can rent that lens for a weekend, and it might be $50, and you can just go nuts for 2 days and just wail on a $10,000 lens and take bird photos the likes that you can't even imagine. And that's the solution. It's either throw money at the problem by buying the lens, but you can rent it. Now, it's super important as well, because there are rental places all over the world that no one knows about. So if you even want to buy a lens or use something or try something different, you don't have to. You can rent it. American pro photographers and most pro photographers outside of Costa Rica don't own their equipment because it doesn't make sense. They rent studios, they rent lighting, they rent telephoto lenses. And I urge you to do the same. I'm sure if you type in lens rental London, there'll be 10 of them. And take a lens and take it out for a weekend and just go nuts.
Cool. Does that answer
I'm
your
on
question?
a mission.
You're on a mission.
It does,
Okay.
but it's very expensive in England, and sometimes it's cheaper to go on holiday and rent one there.
Not here. I don't think it's an option here, but
I don't think Costa Rica has it. No.
there is a guy in San Jose that rents, but he doesn't
Okay,
have. I
thank
don't
you.
think he has a 600. But other than that, what you can do is, your problem is you have a low light situation where you need to capture something moving quickly. Now, if it's moving quickly, one of the things you can do is use a video tripod, which you can pick up cheaply, and pan with the bird, which can make an interesting shot. If the bird is, fixed in the background is moving behind it, it gives it instant drama. It also makes it so you can use a lower shutter speed and still get the bird sharp. So high ISO is your friend in foggy Britain, and opening your lens all the way up and using a panning tripod. And beyond that, rent a lens. I still encourage you to rent a lens because there's no substitute.
Great piece of advice. Thank you, Sean, for that. Karen.
Good question.
Karen, can you hear me well?
I can hear you well, loud and clear.
Okay. Actually, you know what? I have to apologize about something.
Oh, not again.
Okay. And what I want to apologize about is because, when we invited you to come on the show to ask a question to Sean, we actually tricked you. Okay, so we actually tricked you, okay, because we weren't totally honest with you. And I'm gonna let our friend Fred there, okay, explain to you why we tricked you into coming onto the show.
Oh.
Fred, go ahead.
Hi, Karen. I represent the Guanacaste Photography Club here in Costa Rica, and we just want to let you know that you're the winner of the Guanacaste Photography photo part of this contest.
Oh.
So the picture of the baby monkey we thought was awesome. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Very, very nice.
I enjoyed taking the picture.
Of course.
Karen, congratulations. Felicidades. Felicitación. We're going to post a picture so people could see it. Maybe you want to make some comments on it, Karen, and explain to us what it's all about. Tell us a little bit more about this picture.
Okay. Basically, as you know, we've been coming over to Guanacaste for the last 3 or 4 years. We stay at the Rio Palace along the beach where there are lots of these capuchins. Mm-hmm. And every morning before breakfast, that's the time we go and visit them. And basically, I just snap, I wouldn't say hundreds, more like thousands of pictures. No one that I'm going to get a couple of good ones.
More and more.
More memories. More memories.
Free monkeys.
That's it.
It's a great shot.
You won't get a monkey in England.
Yeah.
So Karen, that's a difficult shot. I mean, it's a monkey, which is unruly to photograph. It's not terribly bright out. It's in the trees. You have a long lens. I mean, you did a cracking job making that work. I mean,
did you use on that?
I'm used to shooting in England where there's no light, so I made the most of the sunshine that was coming up.
Perfect. It
First
worked.
thing in the morning.
Absolutely
brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely beautiful. Well, Karen, once again, and congratulations. And so you're going to be winning a tour for 2 with Costa, okay, to a destination that we could discuss with you. But I believe that over and above that, I believe that our friend Fred here wants to give you a little special invitation to his place.
Right. Since next time you come to Guanacaste, stay a couple of extra days. I'm going to be bringing you to Nuevo Arenal from the Rue, that area. And over here, I have set up in my residence, I have 2 spots for wildlife photography. and you'll be able to get all the birds you want. And we have all kinds of toucans that come really close. We have the orphan pindulas. We have all kinds of tangers, tangers. It's all kinds of birds. We have hummingbird feeders all over, so you'll have more hummingbird feeders, hummingbird photos. And then the same day, we're going to take a shot out to the volcano area for some photos over at the Arenal Observatory Lodge, where you can walk around and get photos of their gardens with all kinds of wildlife and get really up close with the photos. So that's all part of the prize when you come here to Costa Rica.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've just got to be allowed to travel now.
Now you have to come to Costa Rica.
Here. I can't leave, so you're going to have to come here.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll see what I can do. Thank
you. We'll be waiting.
Karen,
congratulations.
Thank you for joining us. Congratulations. Sorry for tricking you.
No, I'll let you off.
Okay, take care. Okay, and thank you for staying up so late. And I understand it's past midnight now in England. So
yeah, it's Tuesday here.
Thank you for joining the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, Karen.
Yes, that was great. Thank you. And Fred, thank you very kindly for participating.
You're welcome. Thank you for the honor.
It was an honor, and I hope we do this again next year.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you for participating, and congratulations. And we remind people to go on Facebook, Guanacaste, okay, Photography Club, and they could just like the page, and they'll be part of the action on the group. Thank you. Thank you, Fred.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ciao. Okay. Wow, that was a fun moment.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So now, Sean, this leads us to our final point, which is the last photo. We call it the Sean Davis Award, and we think this is absolutely fantastic. And you've had like the first pick of the most important prize. The person who receives this, actually, who is winning this, is Nicolas Araujo. And we're going to show the picture right now, and maybe you want to make some comments on it.
Sure, you bet. There's a lot to say about this photo. One, it's beautiful. And two, I know what went into it, and it's a very, very deliberate photo. Nicolas took his time and really spent the time to make something instead of just taking it. You can tell those footprints are placed deliberately like that, and he set up his camera, and this, I would guess, is probably that cheap 50 millimeter lens that I was talking about. It looks like it, or something longer, but it gives a shallow depth of field, which is really nice. And he placed the shell perfectly in the middle, and the composition works, and everything works about it. And what's so compelling about this photo is it's very much made. He took a scene and he worked with it to the point where he made something very refined. And it's a great photo. All those submissions were excellent, but I thought this one was particularly interesting because it's so very deliberate, and that's sort of the kind of thing that I understand. So,
absolutely, so congratulations to Nicolas Araujo. We've been trying to contact him today without any success. But nonetheless, congratulations, felicidades to him. And he will actually win a full day tour for two people to the Tenorio volcano area, which is just a beautiful, magical area for photography, for birds and monkeys and sloths and vegetation and flowers and everything. I mean, there's a little bit of everything there. So we're very happy to bring him there. Also included in this package is going to be a one-night stay at Villa del Sueño Hotel in Playa Hermosa, courtesy of Villa del Sueño. And so we're just looking forward to doing this tour with him. So, Sean, we want to thank you for participating. We're going to go check with Telecino if we have some last questions or comments.
Cool.
I think that's pretty much wraps it up. Once again, we want to thank everyone who participated in the contest. We want to who have sent the submissions. Over 50 entries. We're very pleased and surprised by that. We want to thank you for being our specialists on the show today. It was a pleasure having you. I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody has learned a lot also. We want to invite people to go see some of the beauties that you have on your website. photographercostarica.com. That's easy to remember. We really, really like that. And also, what we're going to do as we are closing the show, we're going to run a video with all of the submissions that we have received on the soundtrack, so we could show all of the pictures that we have received. So we want to, once again, congratulations to Daniel Boudarte, Claudine Privé, Eric McKinney, who have received prizes from the Facebook voting. Also, Karen Kurna from the Guanacaste Photography Club, and of course, the last photo that we've just shown, okay, and that was your final pick. So, Sean, thank you very much, and I hope everything is fine in Tamarindo. Please, amigo.
Everything's wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Pepito. Thanks for having me.
Stay safe, okay, and see you very soon. Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, amigos, Sean, we're still here, okay?
Cool.
Yeah, you're enjoying those pictures, okay? Before we leave totally the photos there, it's my mistake. I forgot. We actually have a draw. So what we are doing is that we are picking out of all the submissions, the people who haven't won a prize. We have all the names in here, and Telecino here is going to come and pick a name. And this person here will receive a gift certificate from Costur also. So before it's too late, they say better late than never. So let's see who here is winning this gift certificate from Costur. This is Rosalind Perron. And so Rosalind Perron, vous gagnez un certificat cadeau de Costur de 75 $. Bravo et félicitations. Congratulations. Okay. Happy you're still there.
Okay. Good to be here.
Rolling again with the video. Ciao, amigo.
Right on.